Greetings and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken podcast. I am your host, James Thomas Devitt. We are, as always, sponsored by the Blue Star Spiritual Group and the Blue Star Academy Spiritual School. We've been having a lot of conversations lately with regards to, our last show, Anita and I talking about spirit. We've had shows on light language. We've had shows on twin flames, different things like that. But today, I thought I would change things up. I had a real honor with my son who lives in Turkey. He introduced me to this guy who he's an unusual, unique individual, which I think he's amazing. He is the creator of the 432 experience. Which is online. He does live shows and stuff that can go for 2 or 3 hours with a multitude of different guests. He's been kind enough to have me on his show a couple of times, and we're planning on doing some more of that in the future. But I really thought that today I would like to bring him onto the podcast and to give everyone an opportunity to hear something a little bit different, and here's something that is going to really speak, I feel, to a lot of you. John, his name is John Bass, and John is one of those guys. He's like my son. He's a muso, but he's a muso with a difference, shall we say. So please join me in welcoming to the Awaken podcast, John. John, how you doing, son?
Very, very well, mate. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction.
No problem. Now, just so that everyone knows, where do you reside?
UK, England, right near the airport, Heathrow.
Oh, right near Heathrow.
Yeah.
Excellent. We are planning on coming your way next year, actually.
Excellent.
I'm actually trying to arrange with a friend of mine who lives here in New Zealand, but she's actually originally from Scotland, and she's working to help me to arrange to bring the Blue Star Healing Workshop to Scotland, hopefully to Edinburgh next year. So we're going to talk a little bit about music.
Yes.
Now, how long have you been involved in creating or doing music?
Probably about 10, 12 years.
Now, when did you discover the correlation of the 432 hertz?
That was only recently. That was in the last year or so. Zach sort of, there's a few things floating about online, but I'm a skeptic, so I have to test everything out for myself first. Zach started talking to me, and he was like, introducing me to a few basic facets of it. And to be honest, I was thought, I'm a skeptic still, so I'm just going to, carry on doing my 440 stuff. But the funny thing was that simultaneous to that, I was developing sort of brainwave entrainment techniques, and looking at the numbers there and seeing the correlation between that hypnosis and music and trance and how you could mix it all together and stuff. Through doing that process, I've got more and more in tune with sort of my own bodily vibrations, and then I started to, use, very, very particular numbers. And through that and the brainwave entrainment, the hypnosis that I'm doing, plus the music now too, when I'm using, 432 related numbers, you have a much more powerful experience than if you were using, numbers that weren't related in the 440 scale. So,
well, I know that for myself. I mean, I basically, Zach's mom and I came together when he was 13.
Yeah.
And his knowledge of music always blew me away. He could say a band and name every single member of the band, how long they'd been with the band. His knowledge is like next level amazing, you know. And then he got into creating the dance music and everything. And the thing that I think a lot of people fail to realize about Zach, because Zach's my stepson, he has always been highly spiritual.
Mm.
And he and I have had many, many spiritual conversations and spiritual interactions. And we've actually seen UFOs together and everything like that.
Mm.
And so I know that he's a massive proponent of the 432 hertz. So I think one thing that kind of surprised me, and it may surprise other people, now, like for myself, I'm not a huge fan of dance music.
Mm.
I'm really not, you know. You would not probably find me at a rave because, I mean, the raves are cool and everything. And I have even helped put one on in San Francisco once back in the mid-'90s, but it's just not my cup of tea, not my kind of music. However, having said that, I can listen to a track that Zach did
Yep.
in 432 hertz,
Mm.
and I love it.
Yes.
He
Yep.
had one piece on the album Liquid Light that he had done a remix for and everything and done the music for.
Mm.
And that was my ringtone for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's really weird. So with dance music, because I'm assuming that most of the music you do is around dance music or music that would be played at festivals and stuff.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 split between that and sort of very, very deep, you know, music that's got no beats and stuff that's just strictly used for sort of brainwave entrainment and hypnosis.
Okay. So how many different styles is there of this kind of music with regards to the hertz that is used for it? Because you mentioned 440,
Mm.
and I imagine that there's other vibrational hertz as well. But so approximately in your experience, how many would there be?
Well, there's basically 440 is the standard tuning, and it has been for a long time. But there's everything, all the electronic instruments that you use as a producer are tuned to 440. So there's only basically two. I mean, there's a lot of others you can use. I mean, but this is going back a few hundred years now, where they were still disputing what was the best, and they tuned orchestras and stuff. So there was like 435, 440, what's the other one? There was at 450 as well. So there's a few different ones, but now it's mainly everything people hear is 440 traditionally on the radio, TV, everything's 440. So it's sort of with this, everybody's narrowed their attention down to that one thing. And I think that's where, you know, people are falling down with it really, because if you buy for example, if you buy a piece of software that makes music, it will be automatically tuned to 440. Most of them are anyway. So people usually haven't got the option of branching out into, you know, different tunings and stuff. So you start off already quite restricted. People, and unfortunately, James, it's the illusion that people have choice in this thing, because people, you buy an instrument, you think, okay, I can make all these cool sounds, I can make all these cool melodies, harmonies and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're still locked to that one particular root tuning when there's so much more to be explored, you know?
Right. So what you feel, right? Because in my organization, it's all about what do you feel, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you feel if you're listening to a piece of music, say in 440 hertz, compared to what you feel listening to a piece like, say, one of Zach's pieces that is in 432 hertz? What's the difference in what you feel between the two?
440 is, for me, a dissonant. It's an emotional dissonance. It's more aggressive. It's more sort of abrasive to listen to, and I listen to a lot of quite aggressive music anyway in that tuning. But the difference is between that and between that and the music that Zach makes, is that there's a much softer, much calmer, much more, inviting you inwards. It's a much more inviting feeling that you get through that sound, because it's all harmonically, like it's fractalized. So the root key will be in tune, in harmony with everything going up all the way up to the tempo. So what you're listening to is a perfect sort of representation of the universal existence. You're listening to something that will automatically put you in tune with everything else. So it's just it's from and there's another distinction that needs to be made as well, musically especially, is because both type of music will make you feel good. There's no denying that. But this is where it's important to discern: is that a wholly natural experience that you're going through, or is that like almost like a chemical high that you get with drinking a cup of coffee? There's that distinction to be made, because obviously 440 music does have its place, because it's everybody's had wonderful experiences listening to 440. But if we made the shift to 432, I think we would see, and we are seeing, a fundamental change, not only in the way people experience music, but also in the way they think and feel in general, because it automatically puts them in tune. And this comes back to what I was saying. I asked a question in one of our Facebook groups about. I just literally, I was messing around with tones and stuff, and I got onto a certain setting within the software, and I thought, that feels really good, but I need to understand why. And there was a mathematical explanation where one of the guys told us of why I felt that frequency more than anything else in the whole piece I was working. So yeah, and it's just like when you listen to a piece of music that's tuned differently, it's refreshing. It's something else that people can experience.
So now you said that you've been doing this for about 10 years.
Yep.
But that it's just been recently that you've kind of discovered the whole 432 hertz and everything like that. So let me ask you a question. Since discovering the 432 hertz in your music creation, in what respect, in your opinion, as a muso, as someone who creates music, what is, in your opinion, the biggest difference you've noticed for yourself?
Everything, but my whole body's changing. I've got literally at the top of my head, I frequently get my third eye going off and activating. I listen to certain rhythms make my whole body vibrate in some instances. I'm coming into a phase now where I'm developing on multiple levels, and it's all through. For me especially, it's all through going into trance and listening to one particular sound, one particular wave, one wobble at a time, and actually having very, very what's what I'm looking for, very, very particular bands of frequency that I'm experiencing that are all related to the original 432 frequency. So I'm like going through this huge process of for want of a better word, awakening, because my whole system's being expressing new energies that I didn't know even existed before. So I'll give you an example, because this is probably the most powerful tone that I've made, and it's 128 hertz, which is a number that's very, very strongly related to 432. It's one of the, I've got a whole spreadsheet which I think we should share here. But the 128 hertz, and it has an 8 hertz wobble that goes from side to side. So you put it on, and the minute I put it on, it's not disorientating, but it's destabilizing. You feel and then as soon as you sort of get into the pattern of it, man, like round my body has been, I've actually felt out what it's like to be outside of very, very close, like either side of my head, very close outside my body and above my head as well. And this is all through listening to tones that are 432 related. So very, very powerful stuff. Very, very powerful indeed.
Well, it sounds like it. And so, um, have you performed music at the 432 hertz as of yet, or is it something that
Not
you're still like working out and creating?
yeah, a bit of both. I haven't done it yet because I haven't really had the opportunity. I've been literally, sat in the lab here, developing the sounds. We've actually got you've got access to it as well. You can give up whoever you want access to it, but there's a folder online where I'm putting all the stuff there, and people can, listen to it and stuff. But I want to. What's most important to me is that we're scientific about this. So it's all well and good of me, and I'm sure you'd agree with me. It's all well and good a person saying, "Oh, I had this experience on it, it was wonderful," but it is an entirely subjective experience because it's your body. You're going to respond to the sound differently. So I want to have really really good understanding of because no one teaches this stuff. There's no school where you can learn. There's no course where you can learn it. So I want to have a real good understanding because we are for want of a better word, messing around with very, very serious, powerful stuff that can have, a deep reaching effect on people. So before we go out and play it live, before I go out and play it live, because I'm using techniques that are not manipulative, but very, very influential on an unconscious level on someone. So before I go out and, just wobble the crap out of someone's body, I want to make sure that I know, I know what I'm doing first.
So, in your opinion, as you've been working with this, and I am aware, that you're doing a lot of research and study and things like this, and that it's more than just. And I know this from Zach as well, because I mean, like, all the conversations Zach and I have had over the years. He takes his music extremely seriously.
Yeah.
And I've got nothing but the utmost respect for what he does and why he does, and I know how important it is to him that it's done in a proper way, in a proper manner, and everything like that with the utmost of respect. And I understand that, and I know that. Now, as far as for yourself, though, it almost feels as though you're trying to work out. It almost feels like you've reached a point now where it's like it's almost time to start a new path.
Yeah.
That it's going to be a new adventure and a new journey for you.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel and respond, knowing that you have spent so much time walking this path and creating amazing sounds and everything? Because I have heard some of the stuff that you've produced and created. But how does it make you feel knowing that you're on a cusp of doing something radically different? How does that make you feel?
Excited and nervous at the same time. I know that there's and responsible too. There's I know there's a massive. What's within me is huge, and sooner or later I'm going to find a way to properly articulate it and express it. It's just this journey's like. It's like I'm unlocking something that's so so powerful, but it's the question that drives me. It's like it's a constant challenge to myself as well, to keep my own frustration and ego in check, because I get to the point and I'm so impatient with myself that I have to sort of just take a breath and understand that it is a process that I've got to go through, and it makes me feel that there's going to be a fundamental change to the way we actually experience ourselves, and it's like this knowledge is obviously stuff that I'm looking outside of myself to remember, So there's that element too, and it's been patient and receptive to the process. But I don't know exactly what the result of all this is going to be, but it makes me feel like really excited and positive, and never stop looking for the answer, never stop looking for and not more to the point, never stop looking for the right questions to ask, because that's for example, I mean, I looked up the flower of life, and I looked up the Merkaba and the light body vehicle and all that sort of stuff. And and it's such a mind-blowing topic to think about in the first place, because I'm only used to the physical experience. But through the sound has shown me more than anything that my body vibrating for a start, and feeling things outside that shouldn't, by the traditional conventional laws of reality, shouldn't be possible. And so I've thought, well, how can I use a sound to create this a star tetrahedron around me, while I'm actually doing my brainwave stuff, and just asking myself crazy questions like that, because sound, obviously, we have a deeper understanding of it. Sound can project a holographic image into your space, and that holographic image will take on a geometric form. So if we control the geometric form, then we control the space around us with a sound, and this branches out, and this opens up so many directions to go in. But I'm finding my way, and it's a question of just keeping my intellect in check sometimes, and being a bit patient about the process. But yeah, in 2 words, excited and quite scared at the same time.
No, it's good. Now, for the people who will be listening to this podcast, can you give us a little bit of an overview, maybe, of what you mean by brainwave?
Brainwaves, yeah. I mean, your brainwaves are at the base level. They are patterns of electrical activity that occur in your brain at any one time. Now, normally in a waking state, someone will be in beta or theta, which are quite quick waves. They've got a very short, they're very short wavelength, not big amplitude. So they're just that sort of thing. But those brainwaves are useful in most situations, daily working life, working, driving, going to the shop, whatever. But what I'm really after, and I have been after for a long time, and I can access very easily now, is the delta state, where you go into a real deep state of awareness. And I've gone into the sort of almost a nothing state before, where I've gone to sleep without going to sleep, basically. And the delta state is just imagine sea waves in your brain. That's what, just really slow, really relaxed, and a lot of people that have, I think it's ADD, they're in delta most of the time, which is why they can't concentrate. But so if you play, it's the basic laws of physics. If you play one sound to something else, that sound will entrain that system, in this case the mind, to that pattern of brainwave. So whatever, it's like dancing to music. You dance to the music, your whole body is becoming entrained to that rhythm. Yeah, it's happening consciously, but you're still, your body is still moving to that same sort of the same sort of pattern of the music. It's similar. If someone speaks to you in a really quick voice, you're likely to react really quick. And if someone speaks to you in a really calm, slow, relax, you're going to react accordingly. So it's just a pattern in nature that happens. So yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's brainwave entrainment, and using sound to manipulate your own brainwaves so you access those states really easily. And that's really how I got into this whole journey of, basically awakening, because I had questions that I wanted to get answered in these states, and going through a process that is entirely feeling based. I don't have any thoughts or visuals. It's all feeling for me, unfortunately. So I've had no choice but to get into these states to actually start to experience, the flows, the vibrations and stuff. And this can't happen when you're, it's like when you're at that level. So it's about, turning everything off, and allowing the delta state to come through.
So you actually take people through a process.
Yeah. Well, the audio does that. I mean, I create the I create the audio. So everything in that folder I haven't labeled it on purpose because I want people to have their entirely unbiased experience of it. But I dial in everything. So the actual, it's the wave, the sound, the whom, the pulse, whom, that creates that effect.
So is this what you're planning on, like, introducing to, say, audiences and stuff like this at festivals and things like this?
Yeah, this is, yes, all. So coming back to what I was saying about fractals and harmonics, especially harmonics. Harmonics are the key to this whole process. Is using a sound that is related to the 432 grid, and then using a harmonic wobble, because I do all dubstep, so there's a lot of wobbles in there, wob 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 wob, that fits with the whole scale, and then having beats and everything over that. But I spoke to a few other people, and having maybe a separate sound system that is playing only the brainwave entrainment stuff. That's obviously it's going to be in tune with everything else, but so there's an extra layer of something for people there to actually lock onto and entrain themselves. But yeah, I'm looking to really incorporate all of this into a live set that it's not track to track. It's almost like one long piece of meditational hypnosis. Well, not hypnosis, but meditational brainwave entrainment that they go through. So, and it's literally just tweaking. Making. I've got the controller, so turning it into a live performance where they get a really, really beautiful harmonic experience.
Right. Okay. So when are you looking at introducing this for live shows? How much more time are you going to be focused on trying to, or are you trying to perfect something in the moment, or are you actually trying to just allow things to, take it out there, let people experience it, and then come back and adjust and move forward? Or are you wanting to try and perfect things first?
I'd say probably about 50-50. I mean, to be able to, I'm just the only thing that hasn't allowed me to get out there properly yet is that I'm still developing my business this end. So I've got a recurring stream of income that I can then use to, fund whatever else I'm going to do in the world. But it's 50-50 because, and that's the beauty of it. It comes back to the whole, cornerstone of one of the tenets of being into 432 is that we've got an open mind. So someone could walk up to me at a show and goes, what about trying this frequency? And I'm like, yeah, let's just dial that in and have a go on that, and see what the effects are on people. Obviously it's got to make sure that it fits within the series, but it's having that air of experimentation. But yeah, I mean, the other half of it is knowing exactly what works in, having a few things that I know work. It's like having a toolkit. You might have things that you want to experiment with, but having stuff that you can, it is like playing an instrument, this stuff, because I know a bunch of frequencies and a bunch of rhythms that will have effects now. So at any point I could dial that in, but then there's a lot of other stuff that I not that I don't know, but I haven't tried yet. So it'd be nice to have the opportunity to get into that too.
Oh, definitely, and I can definitely see. It makes sense to me. Let me put it this way: it makes sense to me because what I've been noticing and what I've been seeing is that there have been some massive shifts that have been going on, and it's really fascinating for me from the standpoint of you look at someone like yourself, and you have not been what I would term overly focused on, like the path that I've been walking for so long, and yet the changes and the differences that are occurring on a planetary level,
Mm,
they're affecting even you.
yeah, yeah,
And you're going through these shifts and these changes. And I think this is one of one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on the show today, was because you're showing very clearly that these new energies, these new ways of being, are affecting people in a multitude of different ways.
yeah,
And it doesn't really matter how long or how far you've gone on a spiritual path or whatever it might be. It's a situation that we are seeing people who are growing exponentially,
mm,
and we are seeing people who are growing in ways that are literally unknown from before.
yeah,
And I showed you a couple of paintings that a friend of mine did, one of our people in my organization, and you felt them.
yeah,
You could feel the energy. So you see, you're showing that through the music, it's having this profound effect,
yeah.
not only on people but on yourself as well as a creator of this music.
Mm,
So, in your opinion, for because we are still very early, it's only the 9th of February. I guess it'd be the 8th of February over there in the UK at the moment.
yes.
So we're a day ahead. We're always in the future to you.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what do you see coming about in 2018 for the music and for what you're creating?
Uh, what I see coming about, well, what I see coming about, that's a really interesting question. I see a lot more people getting into either becoming very dissonant or getting in right into the 432. But you know, the dissonance is gonna, sort itself out anyway eventually. Um, what I see happening is hopefully a lot of what's happened to me already is that people will be able to feel their vibration through the music and thereafter as well. I hope that, and I hope what happens is we start to include electromagnetics within the music. That sort of those pulses, those EM pulses that are in tune with our own energy and also the grid of the earth too. That's important. Um, and I see many more developments happening. I mean, we are now at the forefront of something that's just incredible, and I see us everybody working together to on many different levels within music to actually create. Move away from making it a commodity and moving it back into something that's really sacred and spiritual, because I mean, people ban the word spiritual out like it's like it's a really cheap thing, but it's a really important thing when we begin to consider it, and it's the questions that keep driving me to discover this stuff. So I'm hoping that a lot more people are going to be getting tuned into 432, both listening and making it. And I'm doing my little part with the brainwave entrainment side of things, and getting out and developing people to be receptive to that. Other than that, I don't really know. I mean, there's so many beautiful options of avenues of possibility that are now available. And it's going to be an education for a lot of people too, because a lot of artists, they're like, oh, what's this 432 thing? So, I could see a lot more people getting interested in it, because that's there's so much going on, speaking of the negativity in the world, that people need now something, that's part of my reason for delving into the sound, is trying to find answers from inside rather than outside. And that's what music helps you do that. Developments within this field are going to radiate out into many other fields, I think. And I was only I've done so much studying recently. I was watching about the nature of reality and how it's quantum reality, and how sound is, vibration is one of the major influence is probably the major influence within that whole process, within that whole system, you know, and learning how to project harmonic geometric sounds into the body and around the body, you know, taking it to that level of science, you know, to where it's people go onto a dance floor and they are being, you know, they're being healed, they're being put back together with these, you know, with these harmonic fields. So, yeah, I could talk for years.
No, and trust me, we will definitely have you back on the show. That's a given, because you have a wealth of knowledge, and you have, you know, that's part of what I'm wanting to do with this podcast anyways, is to bring different people with different ideas and different things, so to give people more of a more well-rounded balance of information.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
that's very, very important. Um, now, where can people find the 432 experience online?
It's the Facebook page, the Full 32 Experience. We're there with there's a few broadcasts up there we've done. So and we do our limit every time, so we do 3 or 4 hours at a time. There's a few of me just giving little, you know, just very, very short. So I think the longest one I've done is an hour there by myself. But there's you know, that page we're slowly developing. So they can find the Full 32 Experience there. And I'm in a few places at the moment, but as I say, this is still a science I'm developing. So I'm just holding fire before I post anything publicly to do with this stuff, until it's been tested by a few sort of people on the inside.
No, and that's always good, but it's also good to let people know what's happening on the behind the scenes, and let people know what's going on, because there's a lot of people out there that are feeling new things happening and feeling things that are going on, and yet they don't have any concrete knowing of what's going on. And so this is going to be able to give people an opportunity to know, hey, there's actually something going on within music that is very potent and very powerful. I've known it for quite a while because of Zach, of course, but fortunately from Zach, he's opened me up to different kinds of music like Lacuna Coil and Hilltop Hoods and Nightwish and different groups and stuff like that. And I personally want him to listen to, and you should listen to it as well. It's a song called Undeniable by Second Chance, which is amazing because the guy is a country star. He's a country singer, but you listen to that song and it's like, what the? Because it's hip hop and it's probably some of the fastest rap I've heard.
Nice.
Beyond Eminem. So just really phenomenal. What I'd like to do, we're going to close the show now, but I will definitely have you on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me in the first place.
Because we want to make sure that we keep up to date with your research and the changes that are going on and what you're doing with this, because it's very potent and very powerful. Of course, you're in the UK, and of course, as many people know, music has always had kind of an explosion effect coming from the UK, with everyone from the Beatles to the Stones to, I think, probably the Clash, Elton John, all these different groups and performers that have come from the UK. And so it's important to know that, you know, there is much more going on than just simply new healing modality or something like that. There's actually things going on within music and things like this, light language, all sorts of things that is really amazing. And so, John, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for a very short notice for being willing to come on and have a little bit of a chat here. So if there was anything that you could say to finish up that you'd want people to know about, what would that be?
I would say whatever strange shit you're going through, it's completely normal. I'm going through it too. Believe you me.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Listen, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in, for listening to the podcast. Go ahead and subscribe if you would, to keep up to date with our latest podcast. Again, thank you to John from the
Thank you.
UK. And thank you for everyone listening. I am James Devitt from the Awaken Network. Have a great day and many blessings to you.